Good morning, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, September 11th, around 11 a.m. Mountain Time 2023. Alert level has been raised at Kīlauea for the third eruption this year, and it is spectacular. And we're keeping a close eye on Hurricane Lee as the spaghetti models are moving east, and it could make landfall in Maine. It's insane. Keep calm. It's boom time. Northeast flooding threat completes a weekend washout with more heavy rain in the mid-Atlantic. And thousands of flights have been canceled or delayed as the heavy rain hits the East Coast. There's also a risk of severe storms in central Florida as we hone in on Hurricane Lee. Maximum sustained winds at 120 miles per hour puts it at a moderate Cat 3. That may modulate over the next few days, but the power should reduce as it moves north. But that doesn't protect us from dangerous surf and life-threatening rip currents that will affect portions of the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, the Turks and Caicos, and the Bahamas and Bermuda through much of the week. Lee could bring wind, rainfall, high surf impacts to Bermuda later in the week, although it's too soon to determine how close it will come to that island. It also remains too soon to know what level of impacts, if any, Lee might have on the U.S. East Coast and Atlantic Canada later this week. But the spaghetti models, they are lining up. You can follow daily updates at Oppenheimer Ranch Project at Diamond the Dave on X, where we just uploaded the latest spaghetti models that are showing a 50% probability of a direct effect to the U.S. mainland, specifically down East Maine. So in about 48 hours, we will have a clear picture on where this storm is tracking. Now, here is the current track and the moisture belts associated with it. We'll run it through here for you. As you can see, Lee move up the coast there and potentially create some havoc on Cape Cod and a lot of Maine, bringing 4 to 5 inches flash flooding potential, as already saturated northeast is lining up for more moisture. So let's take a look at the current GFS model track on Lee. You can see it there on the East Coast moving up, and it actually makes landfall right at Maine here Sunday, September 17th. So that is the GFS model currently. So you should be preparing for a significant event as far as moisture is concerned for the state of Maine. Also, we've got some thunderstorms that'll be moving out of Colorado into Kansas, Oklahoma, central Texas. Could be some severe weather. This is good news. They need lots of moisture in central Texas. And the precipitation map is showing heavy moisture up to 5 inches. There'll be flash flooding in central Texas, the nexus of the Schmexis, because they are under severe drought. And that means that that water is not going to go into the ground, but flow over it. So if you live in central Texas, these storms are going to greatly affect you, so heads up. Heavy rainfall potential, monitoring Hurricane Lee. A frontal boundary along the East Coast, Gulf Coast, into the Four Corners region will focus showers and thunderstorms. Rainfall could be locally heavy across these regions through the middle of the week. We're crossing our fingers here. It rained about 1/10 of an inch overnight, which is most of the rain we've had all summer. Hurricane Lee continues to slowly track northwest, well into the north of Puerto Rico. Dangerous surf and rip currents are expected along most of the U.S. East Coast this week as Lee grows in size and heads north. And guess what else is developing? Yes, the polar vortex is starting to form in the stratosphere over the North Pole and will impact the weather as we head closer to winter 2023-24. Here's the first look at the polar vortex tightening up. And that means we could have lobes of extremely cold air moving down, as we've seen before, into the northern tier, maybe even into the mid-latitudes. And it also means snow is on the forecast. Snow is on the map for almost all of the states in the West. Shut up, Al! Yeah, he just woke up. Seismic update. No quakes of note. Largest rumbler, a 6 magnitude at depth in Indonesia, probably felt by few. Some activity at the mid-ocean ridge, and another rumbler nearby here, 3.3 in Colorado. Maybe that woke me up this morning. Kīlauea alert level raised as Hawaii volcano erupts for the third time this year. And over at the USGS, they have a live stream to get you up to speed. This is actually a few hours ago because the sun is now rising there. But we could just move this through so you can see some of the major eruptive fissures up here in this portion of the crater. And we'll move it through to live. And there you can see the sun coming up over the third eruption at Kīlauea this year. The good news, it was non-violent, and it's just another lava event and spectacular for photography. Several live streams are on YouTube, and we will link you below to the USGS stream. And there is a picture from when the eruptive event happened. Overnight, many of us were sleeping, but it was spectacular for those insomniacs. Worldwide Volcano News Update. We've got Santo Huito, Fuego, Popo, Krakatau, Semaru, and more. Sakurajima to 8,000, Santo Huito to 14, Sabancaya to 24 in the last 24 hours. And obviously, Kīlauea, new lava lake layering continues as multiple lava fountains remain active. We also have a small puff and an uptick and a raise in the alert level at Krakatau with some powerful explosions in the Sunda Strait overnight. Space weather news, the sun remains quiet-ish with some low-level M flares happening from some active regions that are Earth-facing. Most likely a lot of this activity coming from active region 3, 4, 2, 3. No CMEs, no threat to Earth. 3-day geomagnetic forecast is basically calm with some modulation due to coronal hole streams. So we have no impending events here on Earth as far as geomagnetic storms. Here is the Discover solar wind. You can see the speed is at about 400 kilometers per second. There was a little mix-up in the phi angle. The BZ shifted slightly, but the KP is quiet. Now, big breakthrough here. In Crete, they found footprints that are now estimated to be 6 million years old. Now, these aren't Homo sapiens sapiens, but maybe precursors to man. And this is a revolutionary finding, which indicates it is possible that humans evolved in Europe, launching a curveball into the African origin evolutionary theory. That's pretty interesting. And the footprints are pretty conclusive, showing a bipedal hominid with the ball of a foot and a heel and 5 toes. So the footprints are very conclusive. The dating has been tightened up, and we're going to do a full expose over at Magnetic Reversal News this evening on what this may mean. Now, the government censored me and other scientists, and they continue to do it, but some have fought back and won. And this just coming out of the Fifth Circuit Court on Friday. At long last, the Fifth Circuit Court ruled that we were not imagining it. The Biden administration did indeed strong-arm social media companies into doing its bidding. The court found that the Biden White House, the CDC, the U.S. Surgeon General's office, and the FBI engaged in a years-long pressure campaign on social media outlets designed to ensure that the censorship aligned with the government's preferred viewpoints. This is against the Constitution and fundamentally explains what fixing an election really means. Now, bad news. Kim Jong-un is now on a train headed to Russia on Vladimir Putin's invitation. 2 nuclear superpowers having some tea talks. What could go wrong? Well, you better prepare for a grid-down scenario as World War III heats up. The 34th annual Crestone Energy Fair in Crestone, Colorado this weekend, where you can reimagine how to live without the evil overlord called the government. Learn how to be self-sufficient. Learn how to provide for your village. Learn about nature and its bounty. We'll see you there. And that is a boom to knowledge. Please share this video as we are shadow banned and we need your help to grow. All the links to everything we discussed are below the video in the description box so you can do your own homework. And be safe. We love you. And that is a boom.